Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being patient for our tardy start due to Governor Doyle's road project. Welcome, everyone, to the first Central Wisconsin Ethics of Stem Cell Research Conference. My name is Frank Losinski. I am the chair of the Bioethics Committee at Aspirus Wausau Hospital, and on behalf of Aspirus hospitals, clinics, nursing homes, and home health care, and the sponsors of the University of Wisconsin Institute for Public Policy and Service, Wisconsin Humanities Council, Wisconsin Cell Research Institute, and the Community Foundation of North Central Wisconsin, welcome to all of you. A quick welcome to our presenters who have come from both far and wide. And if you can just raise your hand and wave at the audience. We have Professor Mark Brown from the University of Wisconsin, Marathon County. From the University of Wisconsin-Madison, we have Professors Clive Swenson, Dr. John Orderico, and Alto Charo. From Georgetown University, Cynthia Cohen, and from the Franciscan University of Steubenville, Professor Patrick Lee. Welcome to our guests. Just some peripheral information. Remember to sign in for your CMEs or your CEUs. We have a questionable one CEU that we're waiting to hear whether it'll be accepted or not. If it isn't, we'll have some way for you to earn that CEU if you need it. I'll make sure to that. And now, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Professor Mark Brown. He didn't know I was going to tell this story. I apologized ahead of time because I told him I wouldn't read his 12-page curriculum vitae. No, it's not 12 pages. But Mark and I actually met at a bus stop at the Medical College of Wisconsin when we were out at an outer parking lot being bussed into a bioethics conference. And we began a conversation that had to be 4 or 5 years ago, I believe, with the eventual invitation of Professor Mark Brown to our bioethics committee at Aspirus Wausau Hospital. So you can imagine having a professor of philosophy, a retired neurologist from Hungary, and two lawyers on our bioethics committee. We have some interesting conversations. He currently sits as the chair of the Department of Philosophy at the University of Wisconsin-Marathon County. We also have the great honor of his being a committee member of our bioethics committee at Aspirus Wausau Hospital. And he is a published author on the topics of stem cell research, reproductive medicine, and numerous articles and topics that would take me 2.5 hours to cover. Please welcome Professor Mark Brown.
I think that'd be about 2.5 minutes to cover all the topics I've been working on in the last few years. Lots of people have come together to put this event on, and I'd like to very briefly recognize just a couple of them. Eric Giordano is the director of the Wisconsin Institute for Public Policy and Service, and he is responsible in part for the Institute Fellowship, which gave me the time and resources to try and put together this event and a whole series of other events that WIPPS, as we like to call it, is sponsoring this year and next. And you met Jean Greenwood out at the registration desk. She's a WIPPS associate. I'm not sure if she's ever been called out before, but she has done a great deal to make sure everything runs smoothly. And Deanna Oberg, who is at Aspirus Hospital and was able to keep track of all those details that I was too absent-minded to see to myself. We're extremely fortunate this afternoon to have brought to Wausau scientists at the forefront of stem cell research. and national spokespersons for the full spectrum of positions on the ethical and regulatory implications of stem cell research. This afternoon, we'll focus upon the scientific and the medical aspects of stem cell research. And in the evening, at UWMC Theater, there will be a public forum at which the ethical and public policy aspects of human embryonic stem cell research and some of the new technologies which have been developed in the last 6 months will be considered in a format which is intended for the general public. Let me just tell you a little bit about each of our speakers today, and then I'll turn over the microphone to Dr. Svensson. Clive Svensson is a professor of neurology at UW-Madison School of Medicine and Public Health. He's the director of one of the top stem cell laboratories in the world, the Weizmann Center Stem Cell Research Program. Dr. Svensson's own team conducts research into stem cell treatments on Parkinson's disease and other neurological disorders. He's the author of at least 100 scientific papers in journals such as The Lancet, the Journal of Neuroscience. Clive, I'm not sure Clive wants me to mention this, but Clive also wrote a science fiction thriller by the name of Genesis that is still, I think, a little under wraps. Maybe it's a project that he's still working on, but I think it would be nice to have a counterpoint to Michael Crichton's Next about the future of biotechnology, and it will be a whole new career for Clive. Then also in the first part of this afternoon session, we'll have Dr. John Odorico, who is a physician and the transplantation division of the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Medicine and Public Health. The Odorico Laboratory conducts research on embryonic stem cell treatments of type 1 diabetes and other pancreatic disorders. He's published over 70 scientific articles in top-notch journals like Stem Cell and the American Journal of Transplantation, and decided everywhere I look, which admittedly isn't everywhere in medical journals, but everywhere I look, Dr. Odorico is cited as the leading authority on stem cell treatments for diabetes. And I should say that Parkinson's disease and diabetes are among the conditions which are most likely to see human trials in the relatively near future. We may be looking at the future of medicine here. I think there may well be more to come, but as Dr. Svensson and Dr. Odorico will tell you, there has been quite encouraging work done in animal studies and in some human trials in stem cell treatments of these conditions. Dr. Odorico received his MD from New York University School of Medicine. And then let me tell you, as long as I've got the microphone, let me tell you a little something about the 3 speakers that we'll have, and after we take a break and come back and consider some of the policy implications for healthcare providers and more generally for how stem cell technologies can be brought to a clinical setting. Alta Charo is also based in Madison and the School of Law and the Department of Medical History and Bioethics. She is one of the most influential voices in the country on bioethics and the law. Alta Charo served on President Clinton's National Bioethics Advisory Commission and co-chairs the National Academy of Sciences Embryonic Stem Cell Research Advisory Commission. She heads up the working group on for ethics for the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine, which is the stem cell initiative you've probably heard about, multi-billion-dollar. And she's on just about every board that she has time to serve on with an interest in stem cell technologies. See what else I can say about Alta. She's the author of nearly 100 papers, many of which occur in the New England Journal of Medicine. I don't know, Alta, exactly how many, but you look through and you see a whole list from Alta Charo, but a number of other position papers for the government agencies that she served on, and in papers such as the Stanford Law and Policy Review. And I must say, as a personal note here, that the title of that article in Stanford Law and Policy Review is Hunting for the Snark, in which she suggests that the topic I spent the last several years thinking about, the moral status of the human embryo, is an Alice in Wonderland hall of mirrors that we should look for a political exit from. And I just keep banging my head against the reflection, and maybe my own reflection. Maybe Alta can show us a way out. Alta Charo got her JD from Columbia University. Also in the afternoon session, Cynthia B. Cohen is, I think it's fair to say, one of the founders of the discipline of bioethics. She's the author of well over 150 papers in scholarly journals and government reports, serves on many panels in Canada and other parts of the world. And she's the author of 7 books, including most recently, Renewing the Stuff of Life. In 2007, Cynthia Cohen published a book which is a magisterial overview of stem cell technologies and applications and the ethical issues and the religious issues and the ways in which stem cell technology is conducted in other parts of the world. I consider it the authoritative text at this point in time on stem cell technology. So we are extremely fortunate to have Cynthia Cohen with us today to share her expertise. She has wide experience in the United States and elsewhere. She's currently, I should say, at the Kennedy Institute of Ethics in Washington, D.C., but she has wide experience in stem cell research at other stem cell centers in the world, such as India and the United Kingdom, South Korea, Japan. And she will bring some of that expertise to bear this afternoon to let us know what's happening in other parts of the world and how they are grappling with the very same sorts of policy and ethical issues that we're attempting to deal with in Wisconsin. And then finally, my fellow philosopher and new good friend, Patrick Lee, will speak to us on the natural law perspective on embryo research. I picked up Pat late last night. We got mixed up on our flights, and we went and sat at the Jefferson Inn and had 2 or 3 glasses of wine and had an enjoyable time talking about embryos, if you can believe that. But I hope that you will also have that same feeling once you are finished listening to Pat this afternoon and also listening to Pat and Cynthia and Alta this evening. Patrick Lee is the director of the Bioethics Center at Steubenville University in Ohio. He is the author of Abortion and Unborn Human Life, and a number of other important scholarly papers that have set the agenda for bioethics across the country. He got his PhD here in Wisconsin. He got his PhD in Marquette in philosophy. And if you really want to look good sometime, Pat's first career was as a wedding photographer. So he is the go-to guy there too as well. So please join me in welcoming our distinguished guests.